Hello and welcome to hopefully a okay and steady stream here. It's been a while since I've streamed anything on the channel, and I thought it would be fun specifically to stream something different, a platform that I haven't really done a lot of streaming of on the channel, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to specifically look at a Castlevania game as well. So we're going to take a look here at, Castlevania Circle of the Moon. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look here. And I should really quick, give me just one quick second here. Well, I deleted all my data. Alright, well, it looks like I deleted all my data on here. Not a problem. Well, I wanted to play a new game anyways. We're going to keep it classy here. So I'm playing this with the HDMI Gamecube adapter through the Gamecube Game Boy player. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at this game specifically that way. I've always been a huge fan specifically of these Castlevania games. One of my favorites specifically is Circle of the Moon. It was the first one since Symphony of the Night, so there was a lot of excitement when this game specifically came out. I must have deleted my original save. It's been a while, so maybe probably 2 summers ago now, maybe 3. Back when I still was working at GameStop, what I did was I took this machine and I brought my cube in, and we brought in like an old tube TV, and so in the break room I had set this up, and so that summer specifically on my lunch breaks at work, I sat and I just kind of flew through these 3 GBA Castlevania games. And this is probably the first time in at least a decade that I had played them. I might kind of skip through some of this dialogue here. And actually, turn that on here too. Might actually turn the sound up too. I turned the sound down when I was doing a test stream a little bit earlier, specifically because it was too loud. And now that I'm playing this game, now I can't hear anything. That's one thing about the setup that's a little bit annoying here. Also, I'm playing with the great Wavebird controller. One of the best wireless controllers ever made. The GameCube still to this day one of my favorite systems of all time because it was so underappreciated at its time when it came out. Like, everybody else was all into the PS2 and the Xbox. The GameCube kind of felt like at times it felt like a more adult Nintendo. Like, it was the first time, and I think Switch is the first time since the GameCube where Nintendo has catered more towards realizing that their audience has grown up a little bit. I think they've done a really nice job of that with the Switch, but the Cube kind of felt like that in a lot of ways. In fact, here I gotta switch something on my AC here. It's getting a little stifling in here. And I think that was the most exciting thing about this game when it came out originally, was just the fact of like, holy shit, here's a Symphony of the Night game that's portable. So I remember this was the reason I bought a Game Boy Advance. Like pretty much, I'm pretty sure this was a launch game. So I know I bought the system at launch because of this game. I think I've said on this channel before, most of my system purchases are due to a very, very strong, the DSS system. Very, very strong launch title. So like every system I've ever purchased has always been kind of based around that. And then obviously too, like, I base it around that, and I base it around like what I'm more interested in, or maybe what I was more into the previous generation. So like last generation, and I think I've said this many times, and obviously you guys know on the channel, I was a humongous Xbox 360 fan, not really a PS3 guy. Like I had one, I played the exclusives on PS3, and that was kind of it. Anything else I would specifically play on the 360. Like if it was a multi-platform game, I didn't really touch it on the PS3. I would get it on the 360. And it's not to say that I thought this PS3 was a bad system. I mean, I did out the gate. I thought it was kind of rough around the edges. I'm trying to remember. No, that's how you bring that up. There you go. It was definitely a system that was rough around the edges when it first came out, for sure. But yeah, I was a 360 guy. Before that, and I've always also been the kid who inevitably just ends up owning everything. Like even this generation, you know, I started with an Xbox One. Maybe about a year later, I picked up a PS4. Boy, I'm gonna die of poison here. We're gonna be starting this game over again. Literally all I need to do is find the first save point, which I think is coming up. Oh, holy shit. Or I just die here. One could hope. Nah, we're not going to be able to do shit here. In fact, I mean, I hate to do this. I'm going to turn this up yet again. Like, I don't know why, but the sound is, like, really low. Give me a second here. It's hard to see these buttons. There, we'll try that. Much better. You didn't think I was going to make that way. Hopefully I can just run by this guy without getting my ass kicked here. Oh yeah. Look at him running like Indiana Jones there. There's like not a good way to hit these worm things. That's the problem. You're kind of screwed into it. I like how that bomb just doesn't hurt that thing either. I suppose I could use that antidote if I need to. I swear there was a save point up here. Yeah, we went through there. Like it was like over here maybe. Yeah, okay, cool. I think at one point I also had owned this game on the Wii U like digital console. I'm trying to remember. I've probably told this story on this channel too. I've actually been thinking about doing a video of like system launch memories, because I definitely have some interesting stories when it comes to system launches and me getting systems. I'll never forget the PS2 debacle launch like that. That was the first time a system launch that I remember personally was a huge deal. Like, people actually gave a shit. Because before then, it was like you could just go into the store and it was whatever. Because again, people didn't really, like, at least from how I grew up, like, people didn't buy systems day one. Like, when I was a kid, it was kind of just like, oh, like, I think Nintendo, obviously the Nintendo in North America came out in 85. I want to say we got one in like 89. And the Super Nintendo had been out for a little bit before I got one. And then I've told the story about how I've gotten a Super Nintendo before on the channel, but 64 was the first system that I saved up my own personal money and went like to a store and bought a system. Before then, like I said, the Nintendo we bought from Funkoland as a kid, and the Super Nintendo I bought from someone in kind of a weird transaction. But the 64 was the first one where like I spent a summer like mowing lawns and shit and saved up and went out and bought one and bought Shadows of the Empire. And I don't think I ever... I'm trying to remember because, again, and I've definitely told the story with like rental stuff, but like I didn't buy a lot of games as a kid. I rented everything because that was just how it was in my house. And so like Mario 64 I never personally owned. Same with GoldenEye. I never actually owned GoldenEye as a kid. I just rented that. That game holds the record for me for the most times I rented a game. I think, God, I probably rented that game 30 times. Like, it was to the point where I literally was doing it to prove to my dad, like, hey, look, I should be allowed to buy games. Because his thing every time was like, well, you know, if you just go rent the game, like, you're paying a fraction of the cost. You don't have to pay that $60. And my point I wanted to prove is like, okay, or I could just keep renting this game over and over again that I love, that it would make more sense for me to just own it. And then I owned it, and it was like, oh, or then, not that I just owned it, but then all of a sudden it got to the point where I rented it so many times that when Perfect Dark was coming out, I was just allowed, like, okay, you can save up and buy games now, like, we don't care. I'm trying to think of other, so there was that. PS1, always my favorite. I've told that story about how I got a PS1 on the channel, so I'm not going to go through that one again. That one's great though. And PS1 for me was just kind of transitioning from like being a middle, not even middle school, but like grade school kid to middle school. So like, you know, Super Nintendo / beginning early days of 64, I was like 5th, 6th grade-ish. I wonder if I can hit that. No, you really need a double jump. And so that was it was like the perfect storm of like, oh shit, it's time to play something else. And I started seeing, I had a couple friends that had a PlayStation instead of a Super or a 64, and I started seeing some of the cool games that they were playing there. And was just like, hell yeah! I like the more and more I watched it, I was like, hell yeah! Like I need a PS1. And then I think my cousins also had a PS1, and we played Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider. Like that's how I played that at my cousin's house, and was like, man, no, I really want a PS1. And then I got one through those nefarious, being a nefarious, kid. And it was fun. I love the PS1 as well. It's one of my favorite systems of all time as well. Honestly, I don't have like a system that I look at, I'm like, man, I really shouldn't have bought that. I've always found like a good reason to own or like a system. It's been very rare for me to be like, man, I shouldn't have paid money for that. I think maybe with the exception of like the PSP or the Vita. And even like the PSP, it just was, it's not that it's a bad system, there wasn't a lot for me personally there to get into. I don't know if I went this way yet. I super did not, and I just ran through that guy. Oh man, these things are just being a bitch. Dreamcast was a fun system too. That in terms of a system that I got ultra late, I think that probably would be the winner for me for like the latest system I ever purchased. I bought that system in like fall of 2000 maybe. It was late. I know that. Give me 1 second here, guys. I just realized I never like posted on any of the Marble Gallery social media places that I was doing this. So I figured I should probably take a moment and do that right now. Alright, that's better. Let's continue. Dreamcast was probably the latest I ever got a system. I want to say it was 2000, fall 2000. It maybe, you know what? It might have actually been late spring. It wasn't whenever shortly after Code Veronica came out, because that was kind of my reason, was like, I looked at the Dreamcast and was like, I don't know. Then there was Castlevania Resurrection, was kind of the other big one. It's I've been thinking about doing a video about that too, like games that you had reserved that didn't actually come out. That's a good one. StarCraft Ghost is a good one. I had that reserved at some point. Ah, you son of a bitch. Just getting all sides of it here. Let's see what's through here. Oh, that just leads you back in. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to try and move the mic down and do this. I'm going to fall. Oh, that's okay. That's not that big of a deal. Holy shit. I thought that was going to be way worse than it was. Cool. That saved me a little bit. The Dreamcast, though, like, when it came out, like, I thought it was another one where, like, I looked at it and was like, man, that looks like a cool system, but I don't know. And I don't think I even knew anybody that owned one. Like, that was the other thing. Or no, I did. I had one friend that his parents had just gotten divorced, and so he was kind of like the, you know, you have two parents that are going to do two different Christmases and two different birthdays and stuff, so you get double of everything, basically. And I think at one point he had told his dad, like, I want a Dreamcast for my birthday, and his dad just went out and bought him a Dreamcast. So I remember, and that was my first exposure to the Dreamcast, because like I said before that, you know, I'd looked at it in magazines and stuff, and I had seen it like in Best Buy and like whatever other retail store or whatever. I'm like, that thing looks cool, but I don't know if I would be into it. I wasn't a Sega kid. Like, I looked at Sonic Adventure, was like, that looks okay, but I don't know if I need that. You know, I was pretty content with my PS1 and my N64 at the time. And then Code Veronica, Castlevania Resurrection, like, all these games, you know, that I was kind of interested in got announced. And I was just like, oh, that actually seems like an actually pretty cool system. Then I went out and I bought one. Relatively cheap, too. Like, I bought it from a mom and pop shop. And it was like cheap. It wasn't expensive. It was relatively cheap. It was relatively cheap. I want to say I paid like $70 back then. Like, and again, $70 in, you know, 2000, you know, almost 20 years ago was significantly a lot more money than today's standard. But you know, looking back on it, like, it didn't seem too bad. And then I got that. I got Code Veronica, and I got Crazy Taxi were the games I got. And then I want to say it was like a month later, they were just like, oh shit, the Dreamcast is dead. And at first, my reaction to that was like, ugh, like, I bought this system, this sucks. It was kind of one of those, too, like, where you don't want to show your parents, like, oh, I totally bought this system, and now they're not going to really make games for it anymore. And, because I want to say they split the cost of it with me or something. I don't remember. But it was one of those, too, where they would ask, like, oh, are you going to rent a game for the Dreamcast? I'm like, I don't know. And the thing that made the Dreamcast for me was Phantasy Star Online after that, and then like some of the online games, because that's how I got into online gaming. I didn't get into online gaming through a conventional, like, personal computer. We didn't have a good personal computer until in my family growing up until like early 2000s. Like, I think we had started with like some shitty hand-me-down, and it was an old like 14. What do they call that thing? 14K modem, like just the literal worst. Like, it literally would take minutes, like actual minutes, to load a web page. Like, just. Some of my earliest memories of the internet were going on like GameFAQs back in the day, and looking up like cheat codes, going Cheat Code Central, CCC, which I think still exists in some capacity, and looking up cheat codes for games and then printing them out. That was always the other thing. You had to print everything out. That was always fun too. Oh, I already did that. Cheat Code Central. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I can't go up there yet. I can't wait for Bloodstained. I'll say that. Like I will definitely do something with that on the channel. I mean, I will review it for sure. It depends. Like I don't know. I've seen some mixed things about when it comes out. Like I saw it was the 18th for PlayStation and Xbox and PC. Like pretty much all platforms but Switch. And then originally I saw it was the 25th for Switch, but now I saw some ad yesterday where Best Buy is going to sell copies that are printed through limited run on the 14th if you pre-order it. And I haven't looked further into that. That's a game I'm planning to get on the... I'm planning to first get it on the PS4 and then the Switch. And I will probably even run that Xbox version at some point. Like, I super can't wait for that game. Didn't kickstart it either. I kind of watched everybody else kickstart it and said, I don't need to. When it specifically became super successful at Kickstarter, that's when I said, oh, somebody will pick it up and publish it. Like, there's no way. There's money to be had. So I super look forward to it. I really, really strongly hope that it's not a... I really, really, truly, strongly hope it's not a Mighty Number 9 situation. I don't think it will be. It's been in development for a long enough time, and I really don't think what's his name? His name escapes me right now. The Castlevania dude. I really don't think he would let that happen. I'd be kind of flabbergasted if that game comes out and it's bad. I do like the redesigned visuals. I think they look way better. For the most part, there was like one scene in that trailer that made me go, eh. But the rest of it looked really good. It's a really hot. Like I'm amazed it's gonna come out this fast. If it actually hits that June 18th release, that's way faster than I was expecting. I was expecting September. I had originally read like a leaked date for September 17th or whatever, and I'd actually like planned my vacation around that. One of my vacations around that, because I was like, shit, I'm gonna take the whole week off. My birthday's the week before. It's like I'm gonna take the whole week off and just destroy this game. Excuse me. And then after that, I looked. I was like, oh, I super guess not. I guess it's coming out earlier, so it's whatever. I looked at it as a situation like, well, that would have been cool, but I want the game, so. But yeah, I'm totally gonna get it on PS4 and Switch. I don't really do comparisons between systems on my channel because there's a way better channel that does that, Digital Foundry. Like, they're literally the kings of that. I would never even want to compete. Their analysis and like in-depth coverage of different versions of video games is second to none. Actually, if you've never watched that channel on YouTube, Digital Foundry, it's one of my favorites. Like, it just, between the incredible in-depth analysis, like, it kind of, I feel like it was a channel that kind of started off at this generation, because I'm pretty sure it started this generation, and it was pretty much a channel that was devoted to showing the parity between Xbox One and PS4, and like, oh, the PS4, and it literally was that conversation every time of, man, the PS4 is doing it better, man, that resolution and resolution gate. And it's just evolved into a way better channel that actually really in-depth analyzes. I didn't mean to come over here and get stuck by this thing. It's quite a hell of a channel. Shit. Look at his, like, laser, like Godzilla mouth beam laser. I'll probably die here, because I'll probably have to level up a little bit. Oh, what is this trash? Like, that's the dumb part about this boss. Shit. That's dumb, too. I just blow bubbles that shoot lightning. Oh, I like how I did 2 there. Shitty. We'll probably be streaming for about an hour tonight or so. Probably do a little leveling up here, I think. I haven't even looked at what my, like... Wow, I'm actually really close to leveling up again. These things are probably worth nothing now. I want to see what, like, okay, so let's look. Okay, so I'm at 991, right? Yeah, those things only do 2. I've actually been meaning personally. I don't get to talk about comics very often on the channel. I don't think I even do videos related to comics, but I have to catch up on comics. Like, whew, man, like I'm so behind on comics right now. I'm actually thinking about trying to catch up a little bit tonight later. But like, to give you an example, I think they're currently on Detective Comics 1003. I don't even think I've read through. I think I'm at 994. Like, I'm so severely behind, and again, I only really read Batman. I will occasionally dabble in something else, but I kind of just stick to the core Batman titles. I hate you. Actually, speaking of GameStop, and this will be sacrilege to people that follow this channel, but I actually went to a GameStop the other day for the first time in 6 months. And it's kind of a funny story. I don't know if I've told this story on the channel, but I had a little bit of an accident a couple months ago. I had purchased the new 4K HDR TV that I have in my room here, in the game room, and as my girlfriend and I were installing the feet of the TV, I had laid my iPhone, I had an iPhone 7, and I had laid my iPhone on the ground. We were kind of using the light of it to see things, and I put it on the ground, and we had the TV up like vertically like this, and so I had set the phone down, and we were trying to install like the higher part, specifically the metal feet or whatever. And so as we're doing that, I my finger slips, and I just watch this, from a distance. It would, I mean, if you threw it out of a window and it hit somebody in the head, it would hurt. Threw it hard enough, you could easily give someone a concussion. Watch it fall from this high to the floor, and it perfectly lands on that circle button on the iPhone, which is the only part of my phone that was not protected. Like, I had ballistic glass on this thing. I had a super... The company I work for makes a really, really high-quality iPhone case. Amongst the many products that they make. I had one of those. And just... No, I literally watch it hit that circle button and just shatter. And the funny thing was, I just spent like most of my tax return on this TV, and I literally looked at it. I looked at my girlfriend, and I'm just like, I guess the other half of this is going towards a new phone, and sure, will hold up enough. I got, an iPhone X here, XR. Actually, phrase that for a pretty good deal, actually. But I had this iPhone 7, which the thing about it is, like, I could totally turn it on, I could totally wipe it, you can do stuff with it, but the home button, the circle button, is broken. So, but it still works. Like, I was able to load it up, I was able to wipe it and everything, and so I just, off the top of my head yesterday, I had forgotten that I had it just sitting here, and I was like, well, I should see if GameStop will take it, because it's just sitting here. I don't use it. I don't care. It makes more sense for me to get something for it. And I wasn't expecting a lot. I just considered, man, maybe if I get, $10-15, it's, 10 or 15 bucks in my pocket, or I could use it to buy something. For something that's just sitting around, literally can't use it. And so I looked at, I reinstalled the app on my phone because I had actually deleted it, and looked it up, and it was like, we'll give you $50. I was like, well, really? So I was like, I don't see it, but I was like, it's worth a shot. So I looked, and I went in to the other GameStop in my town, not the one that I worked at, because as you guys know, that store no longer exists, but the other one that still does exist, which I still know people that work there and shit. And sure enough, they gave me $50 for this just broken ass phone. I was like, okay. I used it to buy. I actually picked up 2 interesting games that I didn't really know much about that I plan on looking at. Maybe I'll cover them on You Should Be Playing when I bring that back in June. But I picked up one game that's called Shadow Tactics, I want to say, for the Xbox One. It looks like a real-time strategy stealth ninja game or something. Like, I don't know, it looked pretty cool. Actually, it's sitting right here. It's called Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun. It looked pretty cool. It wasn't very expensive. And then as I was digging, I always like to look for titles that either I didn't know they made physical copies of, or I've just never heard of. This other one is called Deathmark. I picked that up as well. That also looks pretty cool. It seems like a visual novel game, but not a visual novel in the sense that it's like some weird Japanese anime girl thing. It looks like a murder mystery. It seems pretty rad. I picked up both of those and an eShop card, which I used to buy Resident Evil. So, whatever. Like, I was already planning on buying that anyways, and I think I ended up spending a total of $1. So, not bad. Probably the most pleasant experience I've had in a GameStop post working there. And like I said, I didn't even plan it. It was just... I knew I was going to get hit by that. Come on, man. He's going to... You son of a bitch. We'll try one more time. But yeah, I know it's sacrilege around the channel, and like I've said, like, there's still good people that work for GameStop. It's not all garbage at GameStop. It's just I wouldn't want to work there, and today's GameStop I wouldn't want to work for. And I now, like, the thing I'll say which I discovered recently, is I'm not the kind of person that likes to gloat about these kind of things or anything, but I discovered recently through another former GameStop manager that I now at my new job I've been at for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, I actually make more money than a GameStop salaried, or actually they're not salaried anymore because they switched that a while ago, but I actually make more money than a GameStop store manager, and I do considerably less work. I just found that out recently. I was like, really? Yeah, wow, okay. As I've said many times, like, the grass is way greener on the other side. Like, don't be like me and sit there and think, wow, it doesn't get any better. Like, trust me, with the skills that you have from GameStop, you can go out and get a job that pays so much better. It's so much more money. Like, from what I made at GameStop, I now officially make double what I was being paid at GameStop. Like, and when I look at my overall, like, 2-week paycheck versus GameStop, it is more than triple what my 2-week GameStop was. It's kind of ridiculous, like, how shittily they pay people there. And to be fair, like, when I was at GameStop, I was only a third key part-time. I wasn't full-time. Towards the end, I definitely put in a lot more hours than I did when I started, for sure. And I always kind of wanted to be a 30-hour. That was kind of my dream, and it never happened, unfortunately, just because of our acquisition. But I always kind of wanted to do like a 30-hour key holder thing, and they just never really worked out that way, unfortunately. Not to piss on anyone that worked there or anything like that. It just didn't work out because of our allocation. So. Because again, the easiest expense that GameStop can control internally is payroll. So, and GameStop as a whole would love nothing more specifically than to run their stores with just one person behind the counter at all times, which is incredibly unsafe. All right. I guess we'll have to level up a little bit more. In fact, one of the biggest reasons why, and I think I've said this before on the channel, but one of the biggest reasons I wanted to leave GameStop, besides money and just overall shit pay and being treated shittily by higher management, like higher than store level management, I'll clarify that here, was safety concerns, because especially towards the end we had a large string of robberies that hit literally every store but my store. And the only reason I still truly believe to this day, the only reason why my store didn't get hit is because when you would Google search our store, it would show us behind Jewel, which was incredibly inaccurate. And I think that's the only reason why, because I'm sure the robbers Google searched our store and then were like, there's no GameStop over here, they must have closed. But they literally hit every store in my district but ours. And it was the kind of thing where, like, as it was going down, I kind of was getting really antsy of like, man, I don't even want to be here. There was one night specifically I remember where I was going to have to close alone, and thankfully, my store manager, also one of my best friends, was like, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to close with you, because that's not right. And that made me feel better, but still, like, I didn't like it. But the thing I'll say about that is that, like, there's craziness and weirdos everywhere, man. Like, at my current job, I read a internal email that came through today about a situation that happened yesterday in our parking lot, because where I work, it's a private area. It's not really seen. Like, honestly, before I even got the job that I work at now, I didn't even know this business existed, let alone did I know where it existed. And there was an internal email that came through today. It was just like, there's been this suspicious car where these people got out of the car like early in the morning and like walked on our property, and were just like, yelling at employees that were coming in for work that day, and just weird shit where it's like, okay, and so now they're just telling everybody like, hey, keep an eye on it, and I didn't see anything weird when I went to work today, but it's like, But even still, like, I will tell you, like, I feel 100% more safe in this environment than I would ever feel at a GameStop. Like, yes, could someone theoretically get through the doors of where I work now? Absolutely, but it would take a lot more than just walking through a front door of a GameStop. But yeah, that was yesterday. That's the first time I've been in a GameStop since January. They actually had some cool original. It wasn't original, but like Xbox shirts, like Xbox design, like a logo Xbox shirt that I thought was really cool. I really strongly considered getting it. Like I kept looking at it, I was like, I don't want to spend that kind of money right now, and I passed on it ultimately. But like I said, I went in, I traded in that phone, I got 3 things that I was interested in. I ended up overall paying $1, and I walked away happy. I mean, this phone was something that literally just sat under my coffee table, and I forgot about it until the other day, and then was flabbergasted when I was like, you'll give me $50 for this thing that's broken? Whatever. Like, so pretty cool. I did have to laugh though when I was in there how many copies of Anthem I saw. Like, holy shit. And I can only imagine like how bad that game was. How poorly that game did. I could only imagine how many copies that game got traded in and people just said, "Nope, this game sucks." Like, where are we at here? We're getting pretty good here. I want to know, like, how much does that? That can't give me that much. Here, let's see. Drop a mummy. Yeah, it's like 2 points. I keep hitting Y thinking it's this, and I know it's not. Now we're close to leveling up, though. Otherwise, like for personal, like behind the scenes stuff, I actually went back to after a friend has basically begged me for years. I went back to The Witcher 3, which is cool now because it's Xbox One X enhanced, and you can play that game either at 4K 30 or 1080p 60. It pretty much runs flawlessly at either. I've been playing it at the 60 frames mode, which I always choose frame rate over resolution. That's me. But it really looks great. It's such an improvement over base. And it was kind of funny because we were trying to determine, like, I had spent 186 hours playing the base Xbox One version of that game 4 years ago. And then I played through Heart of Stone, which is the first DLC, and I played like half of the second DLC, Blood and Wine, and then I put the game down for whatever reason and never went back to it. And I tried to go back to my save, and I completely forgot how to play the game. And it was kind of one of these split-second, like, well, I did a little bit of like Googling and trying to like, well, I could jump back in, and then I just ultimately decided, you know what, I don't really have anything big in the next month coming out here. You know, I skipped on Rage 2. The Rage 2 doesn't look great, and so I just started over. Started a new playthrough, The Witcher 3, and I've put like maybe 10 hours into it already, and having a lot of fun playing that game again. I'm just reminded constantly of like how vast and great the open world in that game is, even coming off of playing something like Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, recently. It is a vastly superior experience though on the Xbox One X, like, compared to what it was. And the thing that's funny too is, like, I have a copy of the PC version, because when I was at GameStop, they gave everybody free GOG copies of that game. Shit. I should have went and got the holy water. He's actually getting pretty close here. There's no way to stop this lightning thing either. You just kind of have to wait. He's gonna turn right. Oh no. There's like no way to block that. There we go. This game still holds up really, like all these GBA games, and like I was saying earlier when I was looking at that Switch game, like all of these games hold up extremely well still. I thought it dropped maybe it doesn't. Okay. All these games still hold up like so extremely well. And so I really do hope that if enough people buy this collection one, that they'll make a second collection with these GBA and DS games, because I would love to play those again. I would like to have a way to play those on a TV or even on the Switch. Let's see here. Actually, I'm close to leveling up. I don't remember this game being very long either. That was the thing. So we go back, hit that save point. There we go. One of the games I actually am thinking about doing for Horror Fest this year, and I know we're months away from October, but I don't own a copy of it right now, so I have to track it down. But Eternal Darkness, which I haven't played since it came out. And remember really liking that game a lot when it came out, but I never owned it. I think I rented it like a couple times, and I would love to play that game again. I know it's more expensive now, and that's one of the reasons why I've held off on buying it, but I would love to go back and revisit that game. I don't even know. I haven't even looked recently to see like what that game goes for. It's without looking, I'm guessing it's like a $50 or $60 game at this point. I could be wrong, but shit. I would venture to say it's got to be around that era, or area, 50, 60. There was a long period of time where I was looking for the Cube versions of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Code Veronica, but those have all just skyrocketed because of the Resident Evil 2 remake, so it's actually pointless for me to buy that. I would like to have it for my collection. Once I have my Castlevania collection 100% complete, which I'm so freaking close, it's disgusting. I'm gonna work on Resident Evil next. Is my next franchise to just kind of get everything. Oh, those things are so trashy. That's all it was up here. Whatever. I think the music in Circle of the Moon is marginally okay. I think it's one of the weaker Castlevania games for music, though. Like I don't think there's a bad Castlevania game for music. Maybe if you want to get technical, maybe those Game Boy games are kind of shitty in terms of, and that's just because of the Game Boy's like audio. But none of them I would outright say like, oh man, they dropped the ball. But this one, I feel like people don't really talk about the music in Circle of the Moon. The music obviously got better over time, like between the Game Boy Advance releases. I'm actually, I don't know, I'm still toying with the idea of what I'm going to make this week's video. I'm thinking about doing a video about Robert Pattinson, I guess, being the new Batman, you know, because you know, as a massive Batman fan, I don't talk about Batman that much on the channel. And I would shockingly, I'm not put down. Like, I think a lot of people especially would expect me to go, oh, the Twilight dude. Like, that's the literal worst timeline for Batman, like, that anyone could pick. You know, I was gunning for Jake Gyllenhaal. That's literally who I wanted to be the next Batman. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, as we know. That was always my, like, number one pick for a younger. I guess, though, people are telling me... People are saying he'd be too old. I don't know about that, but it's still... And I'd read that rumor like maybe a month or two ago, like, oh, Robert Pattinson's in the lead. And when it originally was said, like, at first I was like, oh, no, immediately I had that gut reaction. I'm like, no, not the Twilight guy. That's trash. And then I kind of looked at some of the body of his, like, recent work, like, post that garbage fire that is Twilight, and realized, like, nah, he's kind of actually matured into a pretty interesting actor. Like, some of these roles he's taken on, it actually seems legitimate. I think one of the things is, like, I want to watch one of these more recent movies that came out before I make that video to kind of reaffirm my thoughts on that. But, you know, where initially I was like, oh man, this is the worst idea ever. The more I thought about it, I was like, actually, it's kind of okay. Like I feel like he could do a good job. And the argument that I'll always bring up is like, well, people freaking hated the idea of Michael Keaton. Like, if the internet was a thing back in 1989 the way that it is now, the outcry for Michael Keaton was insane. People hated the thought, oh, Mr. Mom, he's going to be Batman. And look how great he turned out, you know. In fact, the only argument I would make out of all the, you know, movie Batmans is that George Clooney, not a good Batman. But I don't think George Clooney, for the most part, he can only act like George Clooney. Can't act like something else. It's kind of like I'd almost argue it to like a Ryan Reynolds. Like Ryan Reynolds, like is Ryan Reynolds good as Deadpool? Yes, he's awesome as Deadpool. But he's also just kind of playing Ryan Reynolds. Not that that's a bad thing, but yeah, I mean, people hated the idea, and more recently, like when they first announced Ben Affleck as Batman, I was destroyed. I did not like Ben Affleck. I thought that was the worst possible idea. I was like, oh man, he's gonna suck ass. He ended up being probably my favorite on-screen Batman since Michael Keaton. Like, yeah, you can say what you want about Batman v Superman and Justice League. He was a tremendous Batman. And so I look at it with a much more open mind of like, no, this dude legitimately could probably do a really good job. If we all give him a chance. And I mean, who knows? Maybe that trailer comes out and I look at him and go, no, actually, he looks terrible. But I don't know. I have faith. You know, Matt Reeves, the director, he's been working on this script for years, and he made those tremendous, just absolutely tremendous Planet of the Apes movies. That last one is one of the best movies I've seen this decade, and I have nothing but faith that this guy's going to put out a really good Batman movie. And clearly he's picking Robert Pattinson because he sees something. So I have full confidence that he can, you know, put out a good performance. I'm more leery at this point on the idea of doing Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler as the villains in this movie, because I mean the thing about it is like I'd rather them do a on-screen villain we haven't seen in movie form. Yeah, my favorite Batman villain of all time is the Scarface and the Ventriloquist. They're never going to do that in a movie form. I just don't think people would get it. But I'd like to see someone do something different. You know, you could do Hush. Yeah, they're doing the animated Hush movie, which looks okay. You know, a more recent film, the Court of Owls storyline would make a phenomenal Batman story in movie form, like a live action. I think you could easily do that live action and it would be tremendous. But instead we keep going back to the well with like, well, and obviously they're not going to pick the Joker because we're getting this live action Joker movie, which it might be like, it's probably going to be good. I love Joaquin Phoenix, and he was actually my original choice way back in the message board days before Heath Ledger was announced to play the Joker. So I'm glad he's actually finally getting a crack at it. But I also just don't know what that movie is. Like, I look at that and go, man, it looks like a really good movie. He's going to be phenomenal. But what is this movie? Like, what is the purpose of it? It's set in the 1980s, you know, in a world where there is no Batman yet. So what is this movie? Oh shit. I don't think I can go any higher though, so nah, you need like one of those powers or whatever. But yeah, and I just looked at him like, man, we already had Batman Returns. Like, we've already done the Penguin and Catwoman. Like, Catwoman's been done a couple times over. Yeah, I'd be into them doing Black Mask, but unfortunately Black Mask they're going to just do for that Birds of Prey movie, which looks okay. The little bit I've seen, like the trailer or whatever they put out. Like, I'm into them continuing with that Harley, because she was pretty good as Harley. Like, I didn't really have a problem with Margot Robbie as Harley. I thought she was fine. And I even, like, some of the other DC movies, like, I've seen Aquaman. I loved Aquaman to death. I didn't see Shazam. I look forward to seeing Shazam. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I'm glad that we live in a world where a character like Shazam can not only get his own movie, but that people dug it and will for sure get another Shazam movie. I think that's pretty cool. Because when that movie got announced and everything, I was like, man, I don't see people digging Shazam. Especially the way DC fans get shit on all the time because Marvel movies are, and I can't argue, like, Marvel movies are better. Like, there's no argument there. You know, they took their 10 years to build up their climax, and they did it. And it's, for the most part, great. Like, I have some issues with Endgame. Obviously, you guys can watch my video review on the channel. But overall, like, they actually did it. You know, I think DC tried to jump the gun, and, you know, personally, people were not into the dark tone of Batman v Superman. I thought it was fine for that reason, but I had other issues with that movie. Whereas I loved Justice League, and that's why I laugh when people weren't into it. I was like, man, I thought Justice League was great. I really enjoyed my time with that movie. Anyways, we're going to find the save point here and probably wrap up this stream. Because I've literally sat in a chair for, 8 hours at work today, and then coming here and sitting like this. My chair is actually broken right now, the one that I sit in to edit and everything, so it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. I'm actually looking into getting something to replace it at some point here, but it's been lower on the priority list. But yeah, anyways, that's Castlevania, Circle of the Moon. I'll probably stream some more of this in the near future. I also plan on doing a stream with my original Xbox, as that's finally fixed now. I just have to move that up here. I haven't done that yet. But anyways, thanks for checking out the stream. There'll be a new video this next Friday. There'll be some, big new content coming in June. I'm planning on getting back to looking at older games and stuff. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope you have a great Saturday evening. We'll see you later.